Welcome everybody to 90 Day Fiancé Fridays on a Sunday Tell-All Part 2 edition. What's good, George?
What's up, guys? What's good? So, part two of the tell all leaked early. And guess who knew first? Shabooty. It's always you. It's always you. I wake up to a text because my ass slept in today because, my birthday was yesterday and I was out acting a fool. And I wake up to a text this morning that the tell all has been leaked. And like usual, of course, it's from Shabooty. He always knows the tea, right? No matter what it is, he knows.
Well, so I'm going to ask you the question, but then let me answer first before you answer. So then the question is just like, was it an enjoyable part 2 episode? But before you answer, let me answer partially. And I will say, I enjoyed part 2, but I think part of it was almost like because it leaked early on TLC Go, it was like forbidden fruit. It was like, oh my God, we're able to watch it early, and it felt like forbidden fruit. And then that made me kind of like enjoy it. And I was live tweeting it in the middle of the day, and I was posting a bunch of tweets and stuff. So I liked it, but it's hard to compare it to like a regular Sunday night episode because I enjoyed it because it was forbidden leaked fruit, and I was able to live tweet it early. So that's why I liked it.
No, I agree with you. I think I enjoyed it more because I knew I wasn't supposed to be able to watch it, so it made it more appealing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, "Ooh, I'm watching this." Because I remember people were like tweeting me like, "What are you talking about? Like, what are you? Is this like a past episode?" And I was like, "No, this is it. This is the tell all. This is part two." Like I was all pumped. I was like, "No, this is what really happened. This is going on." So yeah, but I think I was more pumped because I knew that there were people in the world that could not watch it. So I felt like it was like, look at me, I'm special. I get to watch this while everybody else has to wait till tonight.
Yeah, I had the same experience. Like it was fun to tweet it before everyone even knew where to watch it or how I'm able to watch it. So that was exciting. And especially people that like live in Canada, I guess they weren't even able to get on TLC Go. So that made it even special, more special.
Yeah, who would have thought that Canada would be second best to America? Because Canadians are always saying how much a more amazing Canada is, but y'all couldn't watch the tell-all early today. I'm just throwing that out there because I know Canadians are always saying that their country is so amazing, which it kind of is. But y'all couldn't watch the tell-all today early. We could do that.
Okay, so what point do we want to get to the my tea that was featured on the tell-all? Because that was a highlight.
Well, we could talk about that because there's other stripper talk too, because there was stripper names, like there was a whole conversation around strippers tonight. So I feel like we could just get into all of the stripper talk all at once.
Yeah, well, okay, let's start with that then. So yeah, I was watching the tell-all in the middle of the day, and then I guess Sean, she goes, quote, there's like an online post that claims 8 years ago you were an exotic dancer. And then Mina responds, I won't lie, it's not a false rumor, aka confirming that it's real. So she confirmed that she was in fact a stripper back in the day in Paris. And they literally like saw the bullet points of my T post from like February and literally asked her the same questions there because in the post it says her name was Divine. And then they ask Mina, hey, what was your stripper name? She says it was Divine, again, confirming the T. So they literally, bit by bit, like basically, the post basically helped them do that segment, basically.
You are now a writer for the show because they're taking your content and they're creating segments around your content. They should technically put you down as a writer, a storyboard editor for the show, because that's basically what happened tonight. They took your post and put it on a cue card for Sean, and you are now a content creator for the show. And instead of just posting your team, because remember back in the day, I don't want to age anybody, but remember back in the day they used to post the tweets in the post that they wanted to use on the show, but they
Yeah.
stopped doing it. They could have at least posted like where they got the information from. But no, they want to continue to ignore your power when it comes to tea, but they want to continue to use your influence on the show. And then they won't even send you one of those dry ass cakes. Like they're really haters.
I know if I'm helping you make the tell-all interesting, like I deserve a damn cake. That's all I'm
I
saying.
mean, can't you get a cake? Like for real. Like back when they were doing the studio audience, they didn't even send you a ticket to be in the studio audience. And half the tea that they were talking about, you put out there. Like, doesn't that at least earn you a freaking seat in the audience?
Yeah, and then I might be biased, but that was my favorite part of the tell-all as far as like the most interesting part, I thought.
It kind of was all the stripper talk because we got into Mina's. Well, we also found out that Matt, not well, no, that was true, but
Well,
Mark
and then also Mark. What?
Mark worked in a strip club as a bartender. So there's a lot of new information that came out of that segment, which I thought
You
was
learned other like stripper names from other people.
yeah. So I guess Matt from Matt and Amani and Ani, there's two strippers in that throuple. Well, Matt was a stripper named Hudson, which I think is interesting because I was trying to picture Matt having rhythm, and
Mm.
he reminded me of Sarper. Because I was like, all these guys say that they were strippers. I was like, so are guys exempt from knowing how to dance? Because when I meet a girl is usually phenomenal when it comes to like stripping is an art form, right? Like they do things with the pole and dance and their movements. They're talented. Just anybody can't do it. But I'm beginning to think, guys, as long as you go to the gym 16 times a week, you can be a stripper. And I'm beginning to think that that's unfair to the ladies. Because, ladies, wouldn't you rather a guy with some rhythm be dancing in front of you or just some random dude convulsing over you?
Yeah, I feel like Matt might have been the kind of guy that was at that at Annalise like bachelorette party kind of guy, like the guy who wears a sock over his dong and flicks it around or
Oh my God, that guy was like 60 years old, by the way.
something.
Like that was like insane. He was in stripper years. That guy was like 100. Like that was insane. But yeah, I kind of feel like that because Amani did say that he used to do bachelorette parties and private parties. She never said that he was good enough to be at a club. She said
Mhm.
that he did private parties. And if you can't get a club job, but you just going around the random hoes' houses and dances, you're basically just a hooker, right?
Mhm.
Pretty sure that's what that means because a good dancer gets to dance at a strip club and then on the side they can do like parties for extra money. But if no strip club claims you, you're basically just a prostitute dude that goes around and bangs chicks at their house for money. That's kind of what it sounded like to me, but allegedly.
True. Now, like getting back to the Mina T, like I posted it on Instagram, but like normally I don't really discuss sources, but this was an instance where it was like an international source and I was kind of like hopped up and excited. So I did tell my source, which was it was a former, stripper as well of the Penthouse Club that Mina worked with, and that was my source of the tea. And I rarely divulge my sources, but I felt like this is just to show the people that my tea is like international. That's straight out of
Wait,
Paris, France.
is Mina's ex coworker a fan of you?
She's a fan of, yeah, she's well, like on social media.
So she saw your post and she reached out to you.
No,
So
no. Well, there wasn't, she just knows me of being like the 90-day guy and then hit me
well,
up.
right, right. Your influence reached all the way to France to a
Mhm.
stripper who was able to verify that Mina was a stripper at this strip club. That's insane. That's barriers, that's cultural, that's language barriers. Like that's insane how far your influence went because she knew to reach out to you.
Yeah,
Of
when it says sphere of influence, in my case, it's in reference to the globe.
It's huge. Like that's different languages, that's different cultures. Like
Mhm.
people over because you have to remember, guys. There's a 90 Day Fiance UK that they could be paying attention to, but they were paying attention to this, and they found you out of all these people, and brought that tea all the way to the United States. And it's interesting that she was a stripper 8 years ago. Because remember, I kept saying I was like, she don't look like a stripper that was stripping recently, and I guess we were right because she looks a little tired. So
Mhm.
I think that 8 years ago she probably was a hot stripper, right? And also, what do we think of the name Divine? Because she said her cousin's name was Divine, and she used her cousin's name. That doesn't sound like a stripper name, in my opinion. That's kind of a weird name for me.
I mean, it's more of a stripper name than Sarper's Alex, but
Well, yeah, that was freaking stupid. I guess if your name is Sarper and you're from Turkey, anything normal would be sexy because I guess in their culture the guys' names are a little different than ours. And I know a lot of people say that when you're from a different country, they're attracted to American culture. So like names, the way that we dress, the sports that we play, that type of stuff. So
or,
maybe that's what made it a sexy name to the turkey
or
ladies over there.
or maybe if you're like a meathead like Sarper, like the idea that your stripper name is named after Alex Trebek is like hot.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. Like, I'm confused by the whole Sarper stripper thing, the Matt stripper thing. I don't want to say they don't look like strippers, but they can't dance.
Mhm.
It's like, I don't know. When I think of male strippers, I think of like the Magic Mike movies. And like you have to have a certain type of talent to be a stripper. And I think it goes for men and women. And
Yeah.
I don't see that either one of them have that. So I'm just really confused at. you know how people will say, "Oh, I used to do this," and I'm like, "You're using that word really loosely."
Mhm.
Like I don't think you used to do that. Maybe you did it once or twice, but you're like claiming it. Like I don't know if they were really strippers.
True. And then just for like, I know we already kind of we're beating a dead horse, but like for shits and giggles, when I did crow about it on Instagram, let me just like read my own caption if that's okay.
Of
Um,
course. It's your show. Your name is on the marquee.
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna basically, I know we're already beating a dead horse, but let me just go over the post that I made earlier today on Instagram. And it had, screenshots of my tweets from today where I said the Shabooty is literally worldwide, straight from France. And then here's a caption from my Instagram post that says Shabooty exclusive. So the producers are now utilizing my red hot Shabooty to make the tell all interesting. At this point, they might as well give me a proper credit. What the fuck? I don't normally discuss or share sources, but I will this one time. My exclusive source of the tea was a Parisian dancer that used to work with Mina at the Penthouse Club in Paris, France. I'm sharing this to reiterate that the Shabu tea is sourced worldwide from worldwide destinations and it's always hot. Put respect on it. Now you can better understand why other bloggers love to attack me and other podcasters want to snark me or pretend I don't exist. And then blah blah blah. And anyway, if for the listeners, if you want to see the original T post, it's on my Instagram stories. You just have to pay, skim through, and then you could see the original post from February that is laser hot. So
It is. It is. And if y'all want to go see how far back that tea goes, it's there. I looked at the post and it goes all the way back to February.
yeah,
Oh,
before I knew who the fuck Mina was and shit.
yeah, we didn't even know who she was. She was nobody. Oh, wait. So Amberlee is like, is it Amani or a mini? That's a great question because I was tweeting about that earlier tonight, and Matt calls her Amani and a mini. It just depends on how high he is at the moment, allegedly. So I don't really know if it's
Hmm.
Amani or a mini. I know it's spelled Amani.
Hmm.
They say she corrected Sharp Harper tonight and said, because I think she called her Armani, like Armani Exchange.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's a mini. And I was like, well, if we can spell, it's Amani. So I was like, both of you are wrong. Like both of you are wrong. If we could spell, it's Amani. But I don't know. They call her a mini. They call her Amani. I think you kind of have to land on one and pick one, right? You can't have both,
D
right?
has anyone like called you like Jorge?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I do get called Jorge. I used to get called Gio.
Hmm.
Depending on where I was. But yeah, when I'm in a Spanish part of town, I
Hmm.
notice that people assume it's Jorge, which
True.
is fine. But I claim George. I don't say it's both. You can't just pick two or three different pronunciations and say all three are correct. You kind of gotta stick to one. And I think my mom was pretty clear on which one she wanted, so I've stuck to that one.
True. Okay, who do you want? Who should we talk about next?
Wait, this comment is hilarious. Amberlee has labeled you the international superstar, and I think that that's so accurate. That's sticking. We're gonna call you that from now on. You are now the real international superstar. You have taken the title away from Usman, which I guess he never had. Now you are the international superstar.
True. Okay, yeah, let's argue. Well, I appreciate it. As long as you respect the tea, that's all that matters.
It's important that people put some respect on the name. Oh, I will talk. Let's talk about the fact that Jessica bought her son a horse.
Oh.
She said that they got a horse, which that's a white people thing, right? Because I never had a horse growing up, so I was just like, talk about because remember one thought that her kids were spoiled and they were brats, and she needed
Mhm.
to be like more disciplinary towards them. I don't think buying your child a pony is gonna make them less bratty. Not that I think her kids are bratty. That was just what one said, but I thought it was really like suburban white people that she bought her kid a horse.
Like who doesn't have doors but has a horse?
I don't know. This is what I'm saying. Like they can't even like get dressed in their own room without their kids being able to walk in. But this kid has a horse. And I was like, I grew up in the South. I do know that we would go to places where, people had horses that we could ride that were friends of the family, but we never had like our own horse. Like that's a next level
Uh,
middle class thing, right?
like a country rich person thing, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's oh, and did you catch that Megan dropped that Jessica makes $100 an hour? Did you catch that?
Yeah.
because they were arguing, and one was like, oh, she said that women are in one's DMs and they're like, oh, you should come be with me. I make $20 an hour. And Megan's like, that's stupid because Jessica makes $100 an hour. So Jessica's making some pretty good ass money, if you ask me. That's probably why one has been able to turn down 50 different jobs
Mhm.
because she's pulling in $100 an hour, which I thought was pretty impressive. But I think she's some sort of therapist or
Yeah.
something, right? Yeah, you got to go to school for a really long time for that.
Well, it depends on what kind of therapist, but yeah. But I was gonna say, my comment is more of like it's like a superficial thing that's not important, but I still want to get it off my chest. Like Megan, you know what's annoying me about Megan, and it's totally superficial and it has nothing to do with her character or anything. It was like I know she's dating a cop. Well, she's married to a cop, and then she had the giant like sheriff's badge on her like shoulder blade, not shoulder blade, but on her shoulder, and it was kind of distracting me.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw that. Yeah, she's obsessed. Her husband is a cop, and she's like a what do you call it? Kind of like Magda for cops. I can't remember what you call it, but she's like super for the cops, right?
Mhm.
So if you ever see a story where they're anti-cop, she's anti that. She's the opposite. But yeah, she's got that huge cop tattoo on her. And I think it's funny that she's a Karen because I feel like a Karen would be married to a cop, right? Because
That empowers the Karen.
yes, exactly. Like she feels like if you challenge her, she's like, I'm gonna call my husband. He's the police. You know, like, I feel like that's the perfect line for a Karen if you get on her nerves. She's gonna call the law, and the law is her husband.
No, yeah, exactly. That's like a Karen with the force of the law behind her. Or like let's say she's like your neighbor and you're having like a neighborly dispute. She'll get her like husband. You're like, I'm gonna get my husband and his canine. They're gonna come over right now.
Oh, absolutely. And he's probably one of those off-duty cops who's always still enforcing the law even when he's off. You know the ones I'm talking about. They're not even in uniform, but they're already arresting somebody. He's probably one of those.
Yeah, though he was the one that got hammered at the bachelor party, so who knows?
Yeah, he was. And he got the stripper to dance naked on one. So he's cool in my book,
Yeah.
right? So maybe he's not a Karen. He just married to a Karen. You know what? We shouldn't judge a book by its cover. He might actually be really cool. It's just his wife that's the Karen. So yeah, we shouldn't judge him.
Yeah. So maybe he's like the exception to the rule.
It's possible. It's possible. Oh, so Shakarper got their ring tonight, which they waited to do on national TV. It was a really big ring.
Mhm.
So either they got a whole bunch of money or the ring was fake. Which one are you leaning towards? I'm leaning toward the ring was fake.
I will say my Twitter followers, most of them kind of snarked that it was fake.
I mean, that was a Kardashian size ring, Shabooty. Like, I know for a fact TLC doesn't pay Kardashian Bravo VH1 E Entertainment money. So that ring was something that Kylie Jenner would be given. So I'm pretty damn sure that that was fake.
Like maybe it was one of those like I forget what it's called, but there's like a newer kind of fake ring, like a newer technology style.
Oh, I think you're talking about lab grown diamonds.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're much cheaper than diamonds that they find out, that were created naturally.
Mhm.
Lab grown diamonds, where they create them in the lab, they cost less.
Yeah, kind of like considering Shekinah's like lab grown herself, I figured it would be perfect for her to get a lab grown diamond.
That makes sense. It's matching. You're right, because there's nothing left on her body that was not created in a lab
Yeah.
or through a syringe. So that would make sense. But yeah, they decided to do their little ring
Mhm.
ceremony on the show, which was very on brand for them. Oh, and also Sarper got a chance to do his stand-up live. So the network is really being really supportive of his outside
Mhm.
talent or lack thereof, if you're me, lack thereof. But how do you feel about the idea that they're giving Sarper a chance to advertise his comedy on the show? Because other people do things too, right? Like there's other people who have talents that they didn't let showcase on the show. So how do you feel about them adopting Sarper and Shekinah as their pets this season?
Well, I'll answer in a second. But I will say one thing though too is like, at the final end of the show where they're all leaving the studio, the tell-all studio, and then of course like Shekinah's on camera saying like, yeah, we just need to we'll do okay, but we just need to go to therapy together, aka last resort. So she said that way at the end of the tell-all. So there's that point I want to make. Now, as far as the stand-up, like I'm actually like a stand-up connoisseur. I'm friends with some famous comedians, etc. I've interviewed several comedians backstage and shit. Anyway, as far as his stand up, like I feel like the one thing he has going for him is his like foreignness makes him like somewhat interesting. The fact that he's like a foreigner with an accent and shit like that. Like that's the only compelling part of him. Like the material that he's doing, if a regular person, like an American, was doing his material, it would be like it would bomb. But the fact that he's kind of like a little, he's like a foreigner, that makes it somewhat more interesting. I mean, so yeah, I don't. But what was the question again?
Well, how do you feel that fact that the network is entertaining him and giving him a platform for his comedy? Because the
Okay.
network doesn't typically give people the option to advertise anything outside of the show. Like, 'cause, we've had
I,
singers on the show, they didn't give them an opportunity to sing, you
I
know?
I think it's I think it really boils down to one, the net. I've heard this before, like in the past from other cast members. The networks, the net TLC, the network is a they're like huge fans of Shekinah and Sarper. So like to them, aside from Jasmine and Gino, like I feel like Sarper and Shekinah are their like their number, like if Jasmine and Gino are their first round draft pick at this point, like so Sarper and Shekinah are their second round draft pick. So they're kind of like their number two favorite. So at that point, that's why they're getting like this, Sharper has an ability to do a stand up on there and get more attention than any other cast member. That's the reason they're rolling out the red carpet because they plan to keep them around a long time for several repeat seasons, one after another.
See, I agree with you 100%. I think that, well, I think it's very obvious that we're going to see them on the last resort. And like you said, when as she's getting in the car to leave, she's like, oh, we're going to be okay. We just got to get in therapy. And I was like, it's almost like they're spoon feeding it to us. Like they don't even give us the opportunity to figure it out on our own. They're literally spoon feeding the next level of what's going to happen. They're not even trying. And it's like, do we want to see Sarper and Shekinah on the last resort? No, we don't want to see them on anything. They have no real issues. And I know that there's some of our listeners that are fans of them. That's fine. I get it. They have like 10 fans. I agree. They do. There are people who fight me tooth and nail. But when it comes to entertainment, um, entertainability, they don't have any. And no offense, they're not entertaining. They don't have anything going on. And every now and then, Sarper says something funny. Is that warrant to put him on 5 more seasons?
Mhm.
No. What's his name? Boston John is funny sometimes. I'd rather watch Boston John than Sarper. He's way funnier than Sarper. Like I feel like Boston John could actually be a stand-up comedian and be fun, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like he would be hilarious if he did it, if he even wanted to, but he doesn't even want to.
Mhm. Yeah, you know how like when with like Jasmine, they literally have her on like one season after another, one season, like literally there's not even a breather of Jasmine. So I hope they don't do that where it's like literally every season is like Serpent Shekinah one after another, one after another, one after another, even though they're already
Well,
kind of doing
this
that.
is already their second. Yeah, I was gonna say they did the other way,
Mhm.
and then they did this OG season. They're not on this happily ever after, right? I'm pretty sure they're skipping this happily ever after, but we're gonna see them on the last resort. But after the last resort, I would put money on it. We're gonna see them on the next happily ever after. I think
Mhm.
that the network is investing in them, and I
Mhm.
don't really understand why, because if you look back at the core of what built the 90 Day Fiancé franchise, it wasn't people like Shakarper or Well, it kind of was Darcy, but it was the more real relationships, the real American people with real jobs who were being scammed, like Caesar, Danielle and Muhammad, Nicole and Azin, like it was just the real average typical person. They didn't even have social media before the show started. That's what built the franchise. So I can't imagine why they're adopting these fake plastic people to represent the franchise when the franchise was built on something completely different.
Yeah, I think part of it too, this probably isn't going to answer your question, but like part of it though is so there's definitely I don't know. It's like I know there's the TLC suits and they'll make their decisions and I'm sure Matt Sharp has who he likes. And then there's also like the publicists who are mostly like the Warner Brothers publicists who are all like out Los Angeles based. And I feel like that's kind of the latter is where like Sarper and Shekinah kind of really fit in terms of like meshing, is because they get to, if they're based in Los Angeles, they're now able to mesh with, they're able to canoodle and befriend the powerful Hollywood Warner Brothers, out of Braveheart, Warner Brothers Discovery publicists, and now they're friends with these really powerful publicists that work for Warner Brothers and Discovery. and now they're who are all Los Angeles based, and it kind of just works because they're in LA, so they don't have to fly them out to LA or New York. They're in LA. It's easy to say, "Hey, Sarper and Shekinah, there's a promotional event. Come down. We got you. We booked you one. We have the TMZ paparazzi around the corner waiting to meet you. Pretend like it's not planned. Have the run into the paparazzi accidentally in the corner. Talk to them. We're gonna get you on Access Hollywood, whatever." And it's all, we're going to book you on all these shows. It's easy because you live in Los Angeles. So it really makes the publicity side of promoting 90 Day Fiancé really easy for the network. So that leans into their favor because they're LA based. So that's part of it too.
Yeah, you're right. Because if I remember correctly, they did Sarah Fraser's show in studio with her, and no one really gets to do that because she's LA based, and she doesn't fly people out for her show. But look, we saw Sarper and Shekinah sitting right there in her studio. So you're right. It's a convenience factor
Mhm.
where it doesn't cost the network anything because they don't need to fly them to Sarah Fraser. They can just drive, right?
Mhm.
Like it's a convenience factor. So it's like they're saving money by using them to advertise, but I just don't know if they're the right face for 90 Day Fiance. Because when I started watching the show, that's not who I was watching it for. People like that. I was watching it for Caesar. Like I was watching like there I wanted to see normal people making stupid decisions and not seeing red flags. That's what I really wanted to see. And it's like the more plastic and fake the people get, it's like the less interested I'm in, and invested I get into their story. Like I've never been invested in Sarper and Shekinah's story because they don't even act or look like real people to me. Like at the end of the day, they look like little claymation characters that they created, like they were lab drawn. They don't even look real. So it's hard for me to relate to them as people because they don't look like people, they don't act like people, they don't talk like people. They're LA implants. And it's like I'm just so not interested in that in the show.
Yeah, it's like if you compare the two experiences I've had, like in terms of like friendly people and not assholes and not egotistical people. So like, for example, Greg and Mark, they're really like sweet and kind and they're friendly to the like influencers and they're cool. And then versus like Sarper and Shekinah, they're big shots. They blocked me. They're too good. They're too good for to smell their own shit. So it's like the total opposite reaction
Yeah,
response.
yeah, then because those are real, like Mark and Greg, they align with what the 90 Day Fiance franchise is. Regular people who are doing something strange with their lives. That's what the show is based on. A normal guy like Mark. Well, Mark's kind of normal, kind of not. He's a pilot, but especially Greg. Greg is super normal, lives with his mom, didn't have a job, a typical American live in my mom's basement guy doing something extraordinary. That's what got people hooked. So yeah, I think when they come in, like Sakarper, they came in thinking that they were big time even before the show started. Because I
Mhm.
remember people would say, "Oh, they messaged me before their season even started," acting like they were big and bad and big shots or whatever. Because this is not Shakarper's first time around on TV. Shekinah's been trying to make it on TV for a really long time. Same with Amani and Matt. They've been trying this for a while. This isn't their first rodeo. So I don't know. I just think that like when you sign up for a game show, they ask you if you've been on another TV show before or another game show before, and then they'll disqualify you. And I think the 90 Day Fiance should add that onto their application. They're like, have you been on another TV show before? And if you answer yes, then your application should go back to the back of the line. I want real people that haven't been on TV over and over and over. I want people that are just normal.
Yeah, that's probably another reason that like Shekinah and Amani don't get along well because they're both cut from the same cloth because they're both like t reality TV horrors, if you will.
Yeah, I saw that a lot on X. They were like, imagine two identical people in different bodies hating each other, and you nailed it. They are identical. They're the same person, just in different bodies. They both want fame more than anything in the world, and they can't get along because they are, working towards the same goal. So you have to hate each other because they're literally fighting. I saw this tell all part two and part one as a fight for the most screen time between Amani and Shekinah. Did you notice that? Like it was like who can get the more screen time, and they were literally at war with each other, just trying to get more screen
Yeah.
time. Like Amani was like, "Oh, I want to talk to Sarper and Shekinah." She didn't want to talk to them. She just knew the cameras would follow her if she did. That's literally her intention.
Yeah, and she totally ignored Shekinah while she like praised Sarper in front of
Which
Shekinah.
what a weird flex, right? She's like, I just want to thank Sarper for being nice to me and blah blah blah. After you literally cussed out his wife and called her every name in the book, you're gonna call her to you and then say how much you love her husband. I was like, you are so petty. She knew that that was gonna start an issue, but again, this was a fight for the finish of who could get the most screen time, and I felt like this whole season was just Amani and Shekinah trying to be the more interesting person. When ironically, they're both the two. I was more not interested in them than anybody else.
True. Though overall, if I had to choose between like Amani and like Shekinah, I'm actually gonna say I'm Team Amani. So,
I mean, I like Amani more than I like Shekinah. There's nothing really to like about Shekinah.
mhm.
She's if you ask me to describe Shekinah, I couldn't because she's like, what's the word? Um there's nothing about her. Like she doesn't have a personality. She doesn't have things that she likes. She doesn't have hobbies. She's just there. Like Amani, I don't know a lot about her, but I know that she'll cuss you out in a heartbeat. And I like people like that. Like I like real people and I like people that are not scared to stand up for themselves. And Amani showed that she will say things online, but she will also get in your face and say
Mhm.
it too. And I respect people like that.
True. Speaking of the opposite of respecting people like that, what did you think of? And I hate to give her attention, but Meatball Danielle showed up, and then she says, "quote I'm not a mean girl. I do teach yoga and meditation." To which,
That
real quick, to which my tweet was said. My response to that, my tweet said, "Says who? Danielle's one of the most toxic and hate-fueled slash hate-filled people. The fact that they're giving her minute 16 of fame is shameful."
it's crazy that she came on the show and used the term mean girl because I was like, don't describe yourself, like because that's literally what you are. And she always has online beef because I was thinking back and I was like, she's got online beef with everyone. It's
Mhm.
not just Shekinah, it's not just Amani, it's not just she's always fighting with people. And it's funny because she is a self-proclaimed yoga, meditation, mindfulness, um, inner peace teacher, but she's also the most opposite of what she stands for. She's always spreading hate and calling people names. I think she called Shekinah a bitch
Mhm.
tonight. She was like, "Oh, you're just a bitch," and I was like, "Well, what are you?" I was like, "Cause you haven't said one nice thing to her since you got here." Right.
Mhm.
And it's like, if you have nothing against her, because she's like, I don't have anything against her. She's just a nasty person. She's just a mean person. I was like, well, it takes one to know one, though. Like you never have anything nice to say about anyone. And I was like, what is the irony of having Danielle on the show to comment on other people's relationships when she's in a relationship with a man who's been cheating on her the entire time they've been together? Like,
Like,
why
mhm.
would you want any advice from a woman who can't get her husband to stop cheating on her? I think right at this moment, he moved out and left her. So it's like we know why she was on the show. They're going to be on the last resort, but do we need her advice? She needs advice from somebody else, if you ask me.
Yeah, and the thing I was gonna say is I know it was in part of like one of the preview videos, like trailer videos, so it's not like a new scene, but the scene as it played out on tonight's episode with like Mahdi and Danielle, it was like so laughable when he was like across the room and then he had his like finger up and then she like ran up to him and she's like, "Do not put your finger in my face." And it's like
Yeah, I saw that,
I
and
was
he
like
was like
so
a good
laughably
20 feet.
stupid.
I know he's like a good 20 feet away,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Don't put your finger in my face." And then Amani's like, "Girl,
Really
girl,
bad.
come I know. And then Amani's like, girl, come get your man. Your man needs to be getting out of girls' business. And then Stevie, which I thought was crazy, Stevie starts cussing Amani out. And I'm like, damn, I ain't never heard Stevie yell at nobody. I was like, shit's getting out of hand if Stevie start cussing people out. Cause Stevie ain't even a type. And the fact that Mahdi was calling anybody out, I thought was really funny too, because he's literally not confrontational and he's
Yeah.
peaceful.
Well,
So
I noticed the producer handed Mahdi like a Red Bull can, and then he was drinking his Red Bull, so he's getting hopped up. And I think the producer probably like instigated, like, "Hey man, here's your Red Bull. Go talk some shit to Danielle. Be funny."
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure Mahdi needed a little pep talk to get confrontational. Because, like I said, I don't think that he is a fighter. He's a lover. He's definitely a lover. He's not a fighter. He doesn't confront people. He doesn't yell. He doesn't scream. But I liked it all. They all attacked her, and I was all about it. I was like, okay, I love when people get called out for their shit, and especially from people that they don't expect. because Stevie had nothing to do with any of it. And even she said it. She was like, shut the hell up. She's like, I'm so sick of you and your bullshit. She was like, shut the hell up. And even Danielle was like, damn, where did that come from? I didn't even say nothing to you.
Mhm. I have a little bit of tea, if like breaking tea, not really, I don't know. But so here's what I heard as far as like Danielle talking about Mahdi, and this is previously undisclosed, but here's what I just heard, like as I was reading my DMs. It says, I'm just gonna read it, and then if you could figure out who sent it, that means you're just smart. It says, when we walked out of the room with Danielle, I heard these people talking about, quote, he's misogynistic in his culture. He thinks he can speak however he wants to women. So I think Danielle was talking shit about Mahdi, about his culture and how his culture's misogynistic or something.
Oh, and is this why he confronted her?
I don't know if that was after, that might have been like after the confrontation.
Oh, okay. Well, it's funny that she's gonna blame his culture for him calling her out. You
Mhm.
know, if somebody retaliates against you, it might just be because of something that you said to them. It
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean he was taught to disrespect women. Danielle was probably disrespectful to him, and because there's a such thing as what do you call it? Where equal treatment, right? Like a lot of people say, oh, well, if a woman says something to you and you say something back, some people will say, oh, he's misogynistic, he's egotistical, he doesn't respect women. Or some people will say, she can dish it, he can dish it back. And,
Mhm.
I don't necessarily think that all Muslim men are raised to believe that women can be spoken to any type of way, because I've met Muslim men who don't believe that, who said that it's a thing. Some people believe that, a lot of people do, but I don't.
Well,
I
I thought Meatball Danielle was well, I know she's like a liberal, so you think if she's a liberal, she's not gonna be all Islamophobic and shit and talk about like Mahdi's culture like that.
Nah, I think that she's an opportunist victim. So anytime you say something to her that she doesn't like, she's gonna say, "Oh, he hates women," or "Oh, his culture does." Like she's always gonna make it seem like a person attacking her is wrong, no
Yeah.
matter what she said first. She
Mhm.
also make it seem like, well, I was just saying this, and then he said this, and that shows that he is anti-women, or he's a Muslim who's a egotistical. She's always gonna find something that makes that person wrong in her right. So I
Mhm.
don't think that she was really saying that it was his culture. She just wanted to make it seem like he shouldn't have been talking to her like that.
Yes, she's someone that's like she gets in arguments like so often. So she's always ready to use like, the same bullshit lines that she always does. So just because
Oh
she's always
yeah,
in fights.
she shows up with a preloaded argument ammunition pack, right? Like she's already ready to go no matter what the situation is. She's ready. She has a chip on her shoulder all the time. She always wants to argue with someone. She always wants to insert her dominance over people and say horrible things about people. But the second you say something horrible about her, you're an egotistical woman hating asshole, right?
Mhm.
And it's like if you can dish it, you gotta learn how to take it. If you're gonna say something horrible about somebody, be prepared that they might say something horrible about you in return. Like you just have to understand that's how it works.
Yeah, and I have to say whatever you want about me, but I'm pretty good at nicknaming people because the Meatball Danielle name is taking off like wildfire.
Yeah, it's all over. It's even on Reddit. Did you see that people on Reddit are now referring to her as Meatball Danielle? Like it's
I didn't
almost
see it
like
on
a
Reddit, but I saw it on Twitter.
yeah, it's like an unofficial official nickname for her now. Like I'm surprised that Sean didn't accidentally call her Meatball tonight because it's
Well,
literally an official unofficial nickname. Everyone is using it. And it's funny because now even when I say it or when I type it out, I'm also saying it. So like it really took off.
yeah, I mean, considering I'm also speaking of unofficial, since considering I'm an unofficial writer of the tell-all with my T and my nicknames, like, yeah, we might as well start incorporating my nicknames on the tell-all as well.
Yeah, they're gonna have to start crediting you in the credits. If they're gonna continue to take all of your information and make segments out of it, you're gonna have to demand credits at the end. When it goes off, it's gonna say executive producer, and then underneath it, it's gonna say storyboard writer, content creator, Shabooty. Because if you're gonna just be stealing people's stuff, you gotta credit them.
Yeah, Gabby from Sharp Entertainment, if you're listening to this episode, here's my one request since I didn't get the cake. my one request is the next tell-all that Liz Woods participates in, like invite me to be in the studio audience. That's all I ask.
See, you're not even asking for a lot. I would say you should ask to host the next one, but you're not even asking for a lot. You just want to be in the audience. That's all you're asking for. And I feel like that's not even something that they can't do. I feel
Mhm.
like that's the least that they can do since you've been kind of carrying their tell-alls for like the past three tell-alls. Have you noticed that they've been incorporating your tea in like the last three tell-alls?
Seems that way. Well, this was the most egregious and most obvious, but yes, it seems that way. Yes.
Well, yeah, but they've been using other stuff a little more vaguely, but
Oh,
they've
well, I
still
mean, yeah, like they're definitely, well, we talk, yeah. Well, do you, I don't know. Yeah, I know generally speaking, they're now incorporating like the T, like the social media T on the tell-alls, as we've said before. But yeah.
well, yeah, and it's usually yours. And
Yeah.
well, do you remember? Let's go back like 6 years. They wouldn't acknowledge online like stuff at all. They acted
Yeah.
like the online tea and mess never existed. They never even acknowledged it. And then when you started putting out big tea stuff, they did start to acknowledge online drama. Like tonight, most of this tell all was about online drama
Mhm.
between Sarper and what's her name, Meatball Danielle. Like they're now not only acknowledging it, they're dedicating entire segments to online drama, and that's probably because of you, because you've created such an uproar with your online tea that they can no longer ignore it. Like they tried for as long as they possibly could, but they're like, well, we can't ignore it. We can't pretend that this isn't taking place. They had to question Mina about her stripper pass because you put it out there. Like they can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah, well, they can't ignore it because it's like the online social media T is like more interesting than the show most of the time, you know.
Yeah, more people want to hear the online tea than they want to watch the show. So they know that they can no longer act like it's not there. Like they have to admit that the online tea, like let's say for instance, the drama of the show and the tell all is 25% of the show. I would say that you're helping carry the other 20% on your back.
Mhm.
Right? Because at the end of the day, people will watch an episode and say it was boring, but then they'll come listen to the podcast and be like, well, I enjoyed that. Like you're also putting some of the weight of this franchise on your back and you're doing it for free. It's like you're running a charity. You're not even asking for anything in return. So they could at the very least, send you a dry fucking cake. Right? Like at the very least.
True. Yeah, no, and then what I'm about to say almost sounds like bullshit, but it's not bullshit. And I know you could attest to it. There are several people that have told me I stopped watching the show, but I still listen to your 90-day podcast.
Oh my God.
Like,
Yeah, so many people say that. They
mhm.
say that I stopped watching. Somebody told me the other day, they're like, I stopped watching 2 seasons ago, but they're like, I never missed the 90 Day Fiance Fridays podcast. They're like, and I feel like I'm still watching it. They're like, but I'm just saving so much time because they were like, instead of watching 20 episodes, I can just listen to 20 podcast episodes and get even more than they told me on the show. And it's true.
Yeah, no, it's a crazy thing to say, but it's definitely legitimate that is a very common thing that people have stopped watching the show, but they still love a podcast, they still have a social media tea. So,
Well, that just goes to show that the show is losing its fire, but the fandom, the online tea, and the bloggers, we still know what people want, and that's what we're talking about. We're just not wasting their time with the Shakarper shit. We're telling them what they really want to hear.
true. Now, let me just, I'm gonna go through my tweets to see if there's anything else interesting that I tweeted. I will say I liked when Shekinah was going at Meatball Danielle. And Shekinah said on the tell all, she says, quote, well, I guess Danielle was repeating what Shekinah said, but Danielle says, she said I was trash. I was for the streets. And that was an accurate statement.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, low, I tweeted out no lies detected. Because I was like, oh, let's put a lie detector test on that because you are trash and you definitely belong to the streets. And I was like, your husband is probably out banging somebody right now. So that's not an incorrect statement. I don't even care about Shekinah, but Shekinah nailed that shit. That is
Yeah.
exactly, I was like, she got that right.
And then, yeah, and then another bullshit lie was like, Danielle said that Shekinah was like paying for bots or something to be mean to Danielle. And Shekinah responded, people are mean to you because you're a nasty person.
Well, look at Shekinah just throwing out straight fire tonight. That is so accurate. People can't stand that woman because she's an intolerable human being, right? No one is paying people to go and say horrible things about her because she's a horrible person. So people are doing it for free. So you know what? I'm beginning to like Shekinah. Like I feel like we actually might get along because she's saying things that will come out of my mouth, and I never thought that we had anything in common. But based on her comments tonight, I think we might be like secret undercover friends from another lifetime.
Well, yeah, okay. I'm gonna rank my in terms of who I'm friends with, and obviously, like, there's many reasons that one may be friends with somebody's, but like, so I would say I'm friends with like Amani number one, and then I prefer Shekinah number two, and then Danielle will be number three.
Wait, Meatball Danielle?
No, I mean, like, if I had to rank who, if I had to rank them one, two, three, as far as just like who do, just in general, in terms of like, not that I like necessarily Meatball Danielle, just if I had to rank them as far as like
Oh,
people.
so she's just dead last.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
she's dead
Okay, yeah.
last in the ranking. Not that I like her, just so Amani
See,
one, Shekinah two, and Danielle three, because I have to put Danielle in the. She's part of the ranking.
well, yeah, it's like F Mary Kill. You gotta use all three.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Shekinah, um, Amani or a mini. She goes by both. And
Mhm.
then dead last because there's last person on earth and that's it. Then Danielle.
True.
But again, I don't know Amani. We've never interacted except for when I told her that she was a clout chaser and she blocked me. So like I don't know her, but at the same time, I don't hate her either. I don't have anything against her other than she went on there with a weak ass storyline. Like other than that, she seems like a cool person to hang out with. I watch her Instagram stories and she seems really fun. So like again, I don't have anything against her. I think she seems really cool. But I think based on Shekinah's statements tonight, I think we are a little more aligned based on how she feels about us.
She did win. Shekinah did win brownie points with her clapping back at Meatball Danielle. So
Yeah, I was in Shekinah's corner tonight. I was like a little cheerleader with my pom poms, and I was like, yes, yes, Shekinah for the win tonight. I was on her side, and that's really awkward and strange because I don't care about her at all. But yeah, I was definitely in her corner tonight. She was clapping back, and her clapbacks were so valid,
okay,
right?
well, how about this theory? Because you know how Shekinah's like the network pet, and the network likes her, and vice versa. So what if they brought Meatball Danielle on as almost like easy target mincemeat for like Shekinah? So Shekinah gets to like basically dominate Danielle, then it makes Shekinah look even better because she's versus a shitty old cast member.
Well, well, here's the thing. I'm almost positive that Meatball Danielle and Johan and Sarper and Shekinah are going to be on the same season of The Last Resort. So what you're saying, I think the producers are already planning. I think because putting them both on the same island at the resort, they're not going to get along. And I
Mhm.
think that was kind of the they put them on the tell-all together to kind of see how they interact because I think that they already knew that they're both going to be on this new season of The Last Resort. And I think we are in for a pretty good treat because I think Shekinah is going to declare war on
Mhm.
Meatball Danielle. I think that the way, because Shekinah even said it, she was like, I'm scared, I'm shaking, I can't stand this woman. And then Shekinah said it, she was like, I'm not filming nothing else until you kick this bitch out the building. And guess what? Guess who was out of the building in the
Yeah.
next scene?
They put her on the streets of Bushwick, Brooklyn, which
Yeah,
is not where you want to be alone.
they were like, "You can go now, Danielle." Like she kind of spoke. She was
Mhm.
like, "That bitch got to go," and that bitch was gone. So I think, yeah, when the Last Resort is filming, I think that it'll be 90% of them trying to hurt each other, right? I don't think there's gonna be much therapy going on. I think they're basically gonna just going to be going back and forth, which I'm all down for because you know how I feel about Danielle, and I'm loving Shekinah for just doing what she's doing right now. I love it.
Mhm. And then I tweeted this out 7 hours ago, but I thought it was funny when like the end of the tell-all where Amani was like trying to befriend everyone at the end, and then she went up to Stevie to kind of say good night or whatever, and then Stevie was like, "quote I don't like having to talk to you or Matt."
Damn. Yeah, I saw that. And oh, she also tried to get Sarper and Shekinah to eat with them. And I was just like, this chick is delusional. It's like she talks to people crazy, she yells at them, she cusses at them, and then she's like, do y'all want to come hang out with me? And I
Mhm.
was like, that's a different type of delusion right?
Mm,
Like the person who will throw a drink in your face and then call you the next day and see if you want to go hang out. Like that's a different type of delusion.
yeah, she's definitely like she wants to be everybody's friend.
Well, I kind of feel like she's fake though. I feel like when the cameras are rolling, she's even more malicious towards people. But then when that scene is over, she pretends like it didn't happen. And I
Hmm.
think, but it did happen, and this is real life. Even though the camera's running, if you call somebody out of their name, you whether the camera was on or not, they're gonna take it personally, and they don't want to talk to you. But she didn't. It wasn't clicking with her because she was just like, oh, I can't stand you now. And then afterwards, she's like, hey, we want to hang out. I just want to clear the air. And they're like, we don't want to clear the air with you. You just called me a bitch. Like, I don't want to talk to you ever again. And then Stevie was like, yeah, I don't like talking to people like you. And that's the reaction you're going to get when you forever talking crazy to people.
True. I'll have to verify with Amani because I don't want to just like put statements out there that sound bombastic, but I'm pretty sure I'm her favorite like blogger. So I'll verify from Amani if I'm her favorite blogger, and then the next show I'll let y'all know. And if that's the case, then we'll have to be Team Amani officially for the show.
I mean, I'm not Team Amani, right? Like I'm not Team Amani. I don't have anything against her at all. I just thought that their storyline was weak, but that doesn't fall on Amani. That falls on the producers. You know what I'm saying? Like she didn't do anything wrong. She got casted on the show because they thought her story was great. So if I liked her story or not, it has nothing to do with her.
True. Let me ask a random non-90 day fiance question. How far along on Squid Game season 3 are you?
Now, I've only watched one episode.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm very, very far behind. And I was gonna binge it last night and then I was watching it and then I was hungover and then I got sick and then I went to bed. So I should be like 4 episodes in, but I only got through one.
yeah. And so did you have a good birthday or what?
I did. I did. I was supposed to be out of town, but dates got screwed up. So I will be going on my birthday trip soon, but it just won't be for my birthday. But yeah, I did have a good birthday, and I'll be hanging out in Cali for my birthday really soon. So I'm excited about that. And then apparently I'm going to be in Vegas with
Hmm.
some friends right after that. So, and I'm going to like extend it into like a second birthday situation. So.
True. That's what's up. Yeah. And then, oh, without like spoiling Squid Game. Well, I'm glad you had a good birthday. Without spoiling Squid Games. Well, you know how like with the tell-alls, it's kind of like an entree to have like Sarper and Shekinah on the last resort. It's like a setup basically for like a
Yeah. It's like an advertisement. It's a commercial
yeah.
for what's next.
So without spoiling it to haven't finished Squid Games, I will say the last episode of Squid Games definitely had a scene in there at the end where it was like an entree for like a spin-off, let's say. So yeah.
That's what I was wondering. Somebody I saw online that they said that, and I was like, well, I'm confused. This is the last episode. But now that's what they're saying. They're like, oh, it'll come back in some shape
Mm.
or form. Not what it is, but as something else. So I'm kind of
That's
excited about that because I'm not ready for the show to end. So
yeah.
I'm hoping that that's what's going to happen because when I heard that this was the last season, I was like, well, I wasn't really ready to let it go. Like I'm just getting into it, because I didn't watch season one when it aired. I watched it right before season two came out. And then, season three came out pretty quickly after that. And now I was like, damn, it's over. So if that is true, I'm happy that it will be extended in some way.
So again, I don't want to like spoil it, but I think and nothing has been like officially stated from Netflix, but I think it's like pretty obvious from the end where if there is a spin-off, it's gonna be like USA. It's gonna be Squid Game USA is gonna be the spin-off. So it'll be like English actors, Americans playing in the Squid Games. I think that's what the spin-off would be.
Oh, okay. I'm down. I'm down. I mean, they would be stupid to get rid of this franchise. It's huge.
Yeah.
There's merchandise everywhere. There's t-shirt, like it's everywhere. So when something is at its peak the way it is, like my ringtone is the Squid Games theme song on my phone. Like when something is this huge, you don't just stop, right? You stop when the money is not there, not when it is.
I'm pretty sure I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think like season one is literally, and I'm not embellishing, it's literally the most watched Netflix show ever.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
And I think before that it was Stranger Things, but then when this came around, it knocked it out of the spot. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So there, yeah, if it's literally the number one most watched Netflix show in existence of Netflix's history, they're not gonna get rid of it. That'll be like TLC haven't that'll be like 90 Day Fiance, whatever spinoff is the number one show, and then they say, and then they're
and
gonna
then
get rid of it.
yeah. Well, right. It'll be like Love Island. They're like, oh, we're canceling after this current season. They're not doing that because the viewership is there, the engagement is there. They're gonna cancel it when people don't care anymore, and we really, really care about Squid Game, so that they're not gonna do it.
Yeah, so expect more to come, even though like the curator wants to play stupid and say, "Oh, nothing's been announced, nothing's official, nothing's officially been worked out." But you know, deep down, they're like probably working on the script, like on the low low.
Oh yeah, they're probably already filming stuff and casting. Like, they're very underhanded with this stuff. And the element of surprise is what they've been working on. Like I remember when season 3 was announced that it was already filmed. We
Mm,
didn't know anything about it. So yeah, they're gonna try to surprise us.
true. All right, any other tell all things we haven't hit on?
Well, other than Sean and Aaliyah, I think we hit everything. Like Sean is still saying the same crap. Like he doesn't. He's sleeping with other people and he's not sleeping with Aaliyah. But again, I don't really know where to go with this anymore. I know that they're not a couple. I know
Mhm.
that he took a honeymoon by himself, and he's really like petty. He's always talking crazy to people. Did you notice how he was talking to Jackie, where he was like, "This is your fault, Jackie, because you should have told her to come to it." And I was like, he's like really catty and he's always
Mhm.
arguing. And I was like, you can't be like that when you're married to a woman, right? Because the woman is gonna be the catty one. I feel like Sean is the catty one, and Aaliyah is the logical one. And I feel like it's like reversal role reversal. And
Mhm.
it's just I don't know. I don't even like commenting on them anymore because I feel like it's such bullshit. Because they're not gonna stay together. It's not gonna turn into anything, and I'm just tired of talking about it.
Yeah, like they're not even honestly, as far as like this podcast, I don't ever I'm not really even interested in talking about them. Like they're kind of boring. Uh
Yeah, there's nowhere to go. It's been the same thing since episode 1 to episode 20. He doesn't like women and she's a woman. So I was like, I don't even know where to go with that anymore. It's like boring to even to continue to talk about.
yeah, and then the part where he got up and like pretended like he was like mad about something, and then he goes fixes like Mahdi's hair, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is like an iconic 90 Day Fiance moment that will be remembered in the annals of 90 Day Fiance history." And I was like, Okay, like it wasn't that funny, was it? I don't know."
No, I didn't find it funny at all, actually. Yeah, I thought I thought it was extra dramatic, but no, it wasn't. It's not going to be in the 90 Day Fiance Hall of Fame moments,
Mhm.
like cut the steak on a bias or Danielle throwing that huge binder at Muhammad. Like, no, it's not going to be in those moments. Like, no, get your head out of your ass, guys. That's not what this was.
Mhm. True. All right, let me see if there's any like interesting comments in the chat. Let's see. I know Cocoa Puff is in here. Let's see. Cocoa Puff says Shabooty should be in the green room having salad with them on their quick breaks.
See, yeah, that would be fun, and you can ask them.
That would be funny. Like if I was backstage as in just like some like pretend like I'm a producer and I'm just chilling backstage and then I'm like, I don't know, talking shit or something.
Well, yeah, just instigating stuff. Just ask questions and get people to talk. Like, yeah, I would watch that. Like, I thought that's the direction they were going when they would have old cast members come back to do backstage commentary. But even then, they don't do it right. Everything is forced and it's not interesting. So they should put you back there so you could ask people extremely awkward questions while they're trying to eat their salad. Like, I would watch that.
True. Like what was I gonna say? Oh, Izzy says, I genuinely hope that we're still talking shit on those cakes a year from now. Never let go of that grudge.
No, that grudge will stay forever. We're taking it to the grave. The fact that they gave all these people cakes, but then used Shabooty's content for a segment tonight shows you that that grudge will never end. If I ever met Matt Sharp, I'm gonna shake his hand and I'll be like, "So where's Shabooty's cake?" Like, because the grudge is never going to end. Because the fact that he thinks that he can send random ass people cakes, but ignore the fact that Shabuti has been carrying this franchise on his back for the past 3.5 years is crazy to me. It's crazy. So yeah, we're not letting it go. And those dry ass cakes, we don't even want the cake. It's the principle. It's the
Yeah.
principle of the freaking matter that they didn't send him one. That's the thing.
Yeah, hashtag generational run for yours truly. And then the other thing I'll say is like funny is speaking of like interviewing someone while they're eating, how many people could say they've interviewed the co-creator of the Chappelle show, which would be Neil Brennan, while he was noshing on hummus and bread chips? That would be yours truly.
Really? You interviewed him while he was eating?
Yeah, I interviewed him while I interviewed him backstage while he was like eating hummus and pita bread.
Interesting. Yeah, it's funny that interviewing people while they're eating is like a huge deal. Remember that show Hot Ones?
Hmm.
Like so many people, it's I don't know why, but it's like really funny to watch people try to answer serious questions while they're eating. I don't know, it's just a thing. So like I feel like you should have done like an interview series where you interviewed people, but while they were eating strange stuff. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be hot, but like
Hmm.
weird stuff like hummus and banana chips or something strange. Like that would actually be hilarious.
All right, well, I'll make this promise to y'all. If I ever run into Liz like in New York City, because she's there often for like filming, like tell-alls and shit like that, and pickup videos. I'll If I ever meet Liz in New York City, I'm gonna take her to a bakery and have them like make a custom ice, like when you write stuff on the cake, and I'll have them make like a Shabooty. Shabooty is the Tea King cake, and I'll like have Liz and I take a photo, and then we'll eat the cake together.
Oh, we can use that as the promo photo for the podcast.
Yeah.
Be you and Liz sharing a piece of cake.
Hmm.
Kind of like the wedding cake thing where you're feeding each other cake. Like that would be a perfect promotional photo.
Yeah, so we'll have to well, hopefully Liz and I can get the icing flowing and get messy together. Oh, anyway.
Wonder how her fiance is gonna feel about that.
Yeah.
Because you know how I felt. I felt like Jay was gonna hate you. I wonder if this guy is gonna hate you.
I don't know. This guy has been very mum as far as his presence on social media, so I don't know what the deal is.
Well, Gina found his social media because she sent me some photos. And did she send them to the group chat? I think she did. But the dog that he was holding in the picture with Liz, she found a social media where he was holding that same dog. So I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna have her send you his social media profile just so you can get an idea of what's going on. And he should at least say something to you, right? Like I feel like he should at least like say, "Hey, I'm that guy from the photo," right? Like that's what Jay did.
Like
Like
I'm like I almost feel like I'm Liz's like godfather. Like you gotta come and like kiss the ring.
I mean, I feel like, yeah, I feel like he should at least introduce himself. Be
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm the guy that's dating Liz. Not that he needs your permission, but he needs to at least introduce himself. Like you can't just date her and pretend like you don't want to get to know any other people.
Yeah, I mean, someone like yours truly that has like international influence from Washington, D.C., all the way to Paris, France, to we have lists. I could repost that map that has our listeners. Our podcast has been listened in over like 3,000 locations across the globe, if not more.
Guys,
Really.
we were in the top 10 of all podcasts in the Netherlands.
Mhm.
I don't even know the language they speak over there, but we were like number 7 in the whole freaking country. So that's huge influence. There's people that listen to us that don't even speak
Yeah,
English, right?
like a week ago, or maybe a couple weeks ago, I posted a photo of the base. I don't know if they're American that was in Thailand, like living in Thailand, like an expat or something, and they're in Thailand, like on a pool side, listening to our podcast in Thailand. And it's like, imagine if you're, like in paradise. And it's not just that. Yeah. So, but imagine if you're in paradise, like at a pool, at a resort, like a expensive ass resort that you're spending thousands of dollars to be at, and you're listening to our podcast. And that's not like, again, that's another example of I'm not just like talking shit to talk shit. Like it's literally based on photos that we receive from our listeners where they're literally at like an expensive ass $1,000 a night resort, and they're literally listening to our podcast like at the pool.
Yeah, they could be getting a massage, but they're listening to our podcast, or they could be on a yacht. They're listening to our podcast like that. That's a lot of influence, and the fact that
But let me take this moment to call out one person, which she's the one that does send me a lot of like resort photos because she travels like nonstop and is always at fancy resort. So obviously she has a lot of money. So let me call out one of our super listeners, Heather. Heather, I know you have a lot of money to always be vacationing, and I appreciate when you send us promo photos of you listening to our podcast, like an amazing exotic destinations, and it's really cool. But come on, you can fork over like $5 to join the Patreon now.
Wait, is she not a subscriber to Patreon?
No, I don't think she's a subscriber to Patreon, and she's the one that sends me like insanely fancy resort photos of listening to the show, which I appreciate. But it's like you have thousands of dollars and you're always vacationing, and you own like homes in like 3 or 4 different cities, whether
Oh,
in the United States and Europe, and you're always with your husband traveling to Japan and you're at resorts, and it's like you can come on, you could dish over $5.
yeah, you're right. $5 seems very minuscule for someone who can do all of that. It's weird that she wouldn't want to be part of the Patreon because it's such a fun inside community where people get so much information. Like it's weird she wouldn't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, and let me just say one other thing. Like, number one, no one's really getting rich off of this podcast. And then once we get to a certain like money threshold, what I'm gonna be doing is put that into like a Spotify advertisement. So we'll probably George and I guess we'll figure it out, but we'll record like a Spotify ad, 30-second Spotify ad, and whatever profits we do make, we'll pour it into like some advertisements on Spotify to get the show to be bigger. So this is not like a in the present form, it's not a money making operation. Any money we do end up making, we're gonna put it into like an advertisement for Spotify to grow the podcast. So that's just so you know, that's how it's going down. It's not like basically it's like we're trying to grow the show at this point.
Yeah, no one has bought a boat. If anyone was thinking that, no one owns a boat from this. So it's not that big of an operation at all. We're not making any money, but it's fun and we have fun having fun with you guys. And if we can build it and we can advertise and get even more listeners from other places all over the world, then we're gonna do that. But yeah, at this point, we just having fun with y'all.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. At some point, we'll try to figure out how to like inject ads. I know people are gonna hate that, but at some point we'll do that once we get bigger. But at this point, it's like for the love of the art and for the the love of the real tea and the love of the exclusives and basically yeah, that's we're artists at this point. But yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely working on our craft. I feel like we've gotten to a great place.
Mhm.
Just we're at the growth stage. And the different places where people are listening and all over the world and stuff, it's really encouraging that we're definitely growing and we're getting bigger.
Yeah, so that's what's up. One day maybe we'll, even though I don't like Elon Musk these days necessarily, but hopefully one day, we could have like a cheesy ass like car with like a wrap around it, like advertising the podcast. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, that would be cool. Or we could get one of those trucks that drives around New York with the like it's like a billboard truck.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, did you see someone bought one and put Gypsy Rose on it and said that something like she should be in jail or something and she saw it? Did you see that?
No.
Oh my God, yeah, it was online. She responded or whatever. But yeah, someone paid to have a truck advertise that she was a bad person or something along the lines of that. I don't know. But she saw it and she commented on it on her story, which was crazy.
True, yeah. So, and then maybe if we ever get big enough, what we could do is, again, I'm just like thinking off the cuff. What we could do is we could I know it's gonna sound like weird, but again, I'm just like talking shit on my ass. We could contact the like bar that Liz works at, and we could say, hey, like how much would it cost to sponsor to get on the menu like a special like 90 Day Fiance Fridays drink, like cocktail, and that'll be like a special promo drink on the menu at Liz's bar. That'd be pretty cool.
I like that idea. And I feel like their standards are kind of low because remember that one bar that she worked at, they had a Big Ed menu item. So I feel like the bar.
Yeah, and Contra was giving out like big head stickers and shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like we could, and that was Big Ed. He's not the most amazing person to put on your menu. So yeah, I feel like it shouldn't be too difficult, but that would be really cool that the listeners could go in and order a 90 Day Fiance Fridays drink and then take a picture of them drinking the drink. That would be pretty cool. With Liz in the background, by the way, who made the drink, which would be crazy.
True, yeah. And then yeah, Amberlee says, I'll wrap my car for y'all.
Wait, for real? So all we gotta do is buy the wrap. I mean, this is okay. This is moving along quickly. Okay, see, we have already accomplished one step of the hardest step of the process is getting the car to wrap it with. Now we just need the wrap.
Yeah. So yeah, that's going on. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully Liz's new man introduces himself so we could build a rapport, because the more we do this podcast, I don't want to sound like a douchebag, but the more we do this podcast, the more powerful we're gonna get. Wink, wink.
Yeah, he should at least like stop by and say hi. Just, just like Jay introduced himself to you, like y'all at least he at least said, "Hey, I'm Jay. I'm the guy that you're talking about." Like at least that's bare minimal at this point.
True. All right. Well, speaking of car wraps, I think that's a good time to wrap this show. Oh,
Oh, we're gonna wrap this up, guys. Something that Mina and Mark did not do, or they didn't wrap it up.
so and yeah, and just for the record, there's a high, assuming we're both in town at the same time, there's a high possibility in the next 2 weeks or so, I'm gonna run into Mark and Mark the pilot in person. We'll take a photo, we'll get some drinks together. So that'll be pretty cool. And I'll even ask him if he wants to go to the strip club, and that'll be pretty cool. I can give you a first-hand strip club review with Mark if he's down, but Mina probably wouldn't like that. So I'll probably have to keep it on the low low.
Well, she might not be not okay with it. She is a former stripper, and former strippers are very open when it comes to that type of stuff. She's not going to be a stick in the mud because she used to do it. So it might not be that big of a deal.
Yeah, who knows, but and then who knows if I could finagle some Shabooty magic because we'll
I
see.
mean, yeah, maybe invite her too. Maybe she'll be totally fine with it if she was there, right? Like, because she's like a ex stripper, so maybe going back to her old stomping ground might be fun.
Yeah, and then just for the record, I don't want to drag this on too long because we're about to end it, but I will. One last thing I was gonna say is like I'm one of those people that's like that's an introvert, but then when I go out of town, I turn into an extrovert, and then I turn into like the mayor of the city. Like I literally I run that city. So I'll run into strangers, I'll run into tourists, I'll be like talking out of my ass. I'll go from like a super introvert, quiet, shy guy in my local town, and then when I'm out of town, I'm like the opposite guy. I'm extroverted, outgoing, sociable, funny. Well, I'm funny no matter what I do. But so yeah, expect like a whole new Shabooty once I'm out of town. So yeah, watch out.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we look forward to that. We definitely look forward to that.
True. So I guess on that note, Laurie says come to Tampa. Well, I know there's a lot of swingers in Tampa, so that'll be interesting. Um, and yeah, I guess that's it. I guess I'll do my little outro.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, guys.
Yeah, no, no, and yeah, I do need to do a Florida trip. So, we'll meet George and meet some of our Florida people. Maybe George and I could go like ambush in a positive, friendly way. We could ambush Courtney, and then we could run into who's the belly dancer chick? I forgot her name.
Oh, Vanja.
Vanja. Yeah, we could run into Vanja and Courtney and like do like an in-person podcast. Who knows? Yeah, the sky's the limit.
It really is. It really is. There's so many people out in Florida from the show, so it's the sky is definitely the limit out here.
Yeah, so all right, on that note, I guess I'm gonna end it there. And thank you everyone for listening to this special tell-all part two edition of 90 Day Fiance Fridays on
On a Sunday.
all right, peace out, everybody.
Everybody.
Peace.